Hi everyone, and welcome back to Butchery 101. I'm Christina Glenoga, and today we'll be tackling part 2 of our Thanksgiving tips series, Better Than Brine. Please take a moment to subscribe to this channel. It really helps us out a lot. Comment and like too if you want, and definitely hit the notifications bell so you never miss an episode. If your business sponsored this episode, I'd be talking about you right now. Check out our Patreon page for more on how you can do that. And now, on with the show. If you're curious about brining or butchering your turkey for Thanksgiving, check out part 1 of this series for more information on that. I do endorse brining as a very reliable method for producing juicy and super delicious meat. That's honestly not all you're gonna need for your holiday table. And so, here are a few more tips on how to make the best of Thanksgiving 2020. Number 1, cooking sous vide. The cooking method known as sous vide might seem a little trendy or intimidating, but it's actually been around for decades. And many restaurants, possibly some of your favorite super classy restaurants, utilize it for its precision and consistency. Dryness in meat is often a result of overcooking, and one of the greatest benefits of sous vide is its precision in temperature and therefore flexibility in timing. With traditional cooking methods like the oven is set to be at a higher temperature than what you want your meat to finish at. That means you need to remove your bird from the oven at the exact right moment to prevent over or undercooking, and then you still have to rest it properly. But a sous vide machine solves all of these issues. Generally, sous vide involves putting food in a vessel like a plastic bag and then submerging that bag in a water bath. The sous vide machine has a heating element, temperature control, and something to move the water around or circulate it so that the whole water bath is the same exact temperature. In fact, a common slang term in restaurants for cooking sous vide is circulate. Like, okay, we need to circulate the pork tenderloins for at least 45 minutes. I'll go more into depth about the technical aspects of sous vide, especially pertaining to meat, in a future episode. Let me know in the comments if that's something you'd be interested in. Check out any sous vide machine for home use, as they'll have specific instructions for their appliance and a ton of information on any risks or hazards. But I just wanted to make sure to let you know how effective sous vide can be, especially for cooking lean meats. Because seriously, the best chicken breast I've ever had was cooked this way. No special seasoning or brining or anything. And cooking sous vide is super easy once you get a hang of how to use your machine. It's also a great alternative to brining, especially if you're avoiding salt or sugar in your diet. You can still achieve an absolutely beautiful texture without brine. You can even pop a few of your flavoring or seasoning ingredients into the bag to infuse the meat while cooking. Just like any appliance or cooking method, practice makes perfect. Do a couple practice runs with chicken breast or some other lean meat between now and Thanksgiving. One of the only drawbacks, though, of cooking sous vide is that it doesn't crisp or brown foods. It just doesn't get hot or dry enough to cause the Maillard effect. But you can totally cook your turkey sous vide a day or so ahead of time, refrigerate the cooked meat, skin side up and uncovered, and then just crisp the skin quickly in a hot oven, under a broiler, or in a hot pan just before you serve it. Again, practicing is key with any cooking method, but especially if you already own a sous vide machine or are willing to put in a few practice runs with a new appliance between now and Thanksgiving, or whatever holiday you're looking at. Sous vide is a nearly foolproof route to delicious turkey. Before we get on to the next topic, let's take a moment to talk about today's sponsor, Butchery 101. We actually don't have any official sponsors currently at this channel, but that could totally be you. Check out our Patreon page to see how you could sponsor a recurring monthly episode or appear on a special thanks title card every month. or otherwise find ways to support this channel. There are lots of exclusive benefits to becoming a patron, like monthly live stream Q&As, shoutouts in YouTube videos, and even monthly one-on-one consultations to help you maximize your meaty projects at home. Sorry if you can hear all the noise from upstairs. I have noisy neighbors. Please find the link to our Patreon page in the description below. Also, if after watching this video, you want a little more Thanksgiving or general holiday guidance, Butchery 101 is offering 1-hour holiday video consultations and Whole Chicken Butchery Classes in group and private online settings. Please see our talk page to sign up, also linked in the description below. Okay, and now back to the show. Tip number 2, baking with lard. The word lard typically refers to pig fat that has been rendered and packaged for cooking or baking uses. Many American recipes from the 50s and earlier call specifically for lard. This was a time before industrial dairy and butter production was cheap and plentiful, and certainly before hydrogenated oils and margarine became a thing. Crisco and other shortenings are basically a cheap knockoff of good lard. Try a little local lard in your pie crusts, cookies, and cake recipes. Pretty much any recipe that calls for shortening. It doesn't taste like pork and will yield extremely flaky and crispy crusts. Lard has just a little bit less water in it than butter, so just be mindful of that when substituting it for butter in your recipes, and you can always just add like a couple drops of water to compensate. Certain breeds of pigs are known as lard pigs because of their body's natural tendencies to store calories as fat as opposed to muscle, and these breeds were much more common on farms before World War II. There are 5 different types of pig fat: intermuscular, which is the fat between the muscles, intramuscular, aka marbling, subcutaneous, back fat, caul fat, which lines the inside of the body cavity, and leaf lard, kidney fat. I'll go more into depth on the other types of fat in another video, but leaf lard is the one best suited for baking, as it has a very low protein content and super mild pork flavor, if any at all. One of its functions in an animal is to cushion the organs against the spine. It lays on top of the tenderloins and surrounds the kidneys, hence the alternative name kidney fat. You can get unprocessed leaf lard wherever you get your whole sides of pig, if that's something you do. You want to grind that fat or chop it finely and then cook it over very low heat with just a couple tablespoons of water to help gently melt the fat. Don't even let it get hot enough to brown. The more brown it gets, the more pronounced the pork flavor will be. Strain out the solids and let cool. After that, it's ready to use in all of your favorite baking recipes. If you want to skip that step though, farmers and independent butchers often offer this lard, already rendered and ready to use. And if you don't have a farmer or independent butcher to shop with, grocery stores do often carry lard in the baking or Latinx foods aisle. One type of lard that I really enjoy is this stuff from Alluvial Farms, up in Everson, Washington. I'll link you to their website below if you want to order something from them. Number 3, make stock. To me, some homemade stuff doesn't seem worth it, especially if you want to have this stuff on a regular basis. But homemade stock is very achievable, and it's a great way to utilize 100% of your turkey. And the quality of the product is noticeably better than that of store-bought stock. Part of why it's so easy is that stock making is super versatile and flexible. And there are just a couple best practices and proven methods that you'll want to follow. You'll also want to make sure that these methods work with your existing kitchen supplies. One of my biggest pet peeves is a bunch of tips on the internet that involve just buying a bunch of new stuff. So let's see what we can do to help you make beautiful stock with the stuff that you already have. Tip 1. If you're breaking down your turkey before Thanksgiving, make your stock as you butcher your bird. Set up your stock pot as part of your butchery mise en place. You can use the pot that you would make pasta in. Set up the stock pot next to your butchering station so you can just pop the bones, giblets, and scraps right into the pot. Tip 2. Observe the following ratios. Turkey bones and scraps should make up about 80% of your stock fixins. Mirepoix, a selection of onion, carrot, and celery, should make up about 20%. If you want to be super fancy, add a couple aromatics like thyme, parsley, and black peppercorns. Maybe about 5% of the fixins can be this stuff. Both the mirepoix and the flavoring ingredients give you an opportunity to utilize trimmings and scraps. Stems from the herbs that you've used in other recipes, onion and carrot skins are perfectly acceptable in your stock pot. Just make sure to not include any of the dirt that may be on the roots. You can also be creative with these ingredients once you learn your own flavor preferences. Try juniper, star anise, or clove, even citrus peels. A bay leaf is always a welcome addition to any bubbling pot. Tip 3. Start cold and don't let it boil. Add enough cold water to just barely cover the goods. If you're going overnight, add extra water to compensate for the evaporation that's going to happen over the long term. Bring the pot up to just about a boil and then turn it down to let simmer. You're looking for a champagne bubble kind of vibe for the simmer. If it boils, you run the risk of emulsifying fat and other impurities into your stock, yielding a really murky looking and tasting liquid. Side note though about boiling, aggressive boiling is one of the key cooking methods to bone broth. So if you're looking for that high calcium richness, go ahead for the boil. Just know that your level of heat will have an effect on your finished product. Tip 4. Simmer for at least a few hours, and if you feel comfy doing it, go overnight. All night long, all night. I prefer to use an Instant Pot or other slow cooker if I'm going to do an overnight stock. I have worked in kitchens where we've used the oven or stove for overnight cooking. Just again, be aware of the amount of liquid you have in the pot for any overnight cooking. You do not want to risk all the water evaporating and scorching your pot, or worse, starting a fire. Tip 5. Enjoy your stock and store it well. At this point, your stock is ready to strain and make soup, turkey pot pies, or gravy. And all of these dishes will be worlds better with your homemade stock. When storing excess stock, don't forget to label and date your containers and mark how many of them you have. Pro tip: if you have a lot of stock to freeze and not a lot of space to freeze it in, use Ziploc bags. Fill them like 3/4 of the way up and zip them shut. Then store them flat in the freezer. The thinner profile and square shape means way better storage capacity in your freezer and super quick thawing. Just make sure that the bag isn't overfilled and that the seal is super tightly shut before laying it down in your freezer. Well, that's it for today's episode. Thank you so much for watching. Please take a moment to subscribe to this channel. Again, it really helps us out a lot. Comment down below any questions or feedback, and don't forget to hit the like button. Follow us on Instagram or Facebook at Butchery101 for more meaty goodness. Have a great week and mask up, y'all. Bye.